What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new movie that is based on a Stephen King book. And if you've been following me on my channel for a while, about a year ago, I went through a phase where I was reading a lot of Stephen King books, and I talked about book versus film in a couple of videos. I talked about Misery, I talked about The Shining, I talked about Pet Cemetery, went through a few of King's books, and I've always really enjoyed King as an author. I don't think that he's perfect by any means. There are some of his books that I think are way overpraised, but I do really like him as an author for the most part. I think he does a really excellent job creating these very vibrant worlds that are really easy to immerse yourself into, that have oftentimes very sick, sadistic storytelling, really interesting character arcs. I think his character building is one of his strongest suits as an author. And so, talking about his work over time, it's always interesting to me when his material is turned into film, because there's been some really incredible film adaptations of his work, and there's also been some really terrible ones. And when I saw the trailer to this, I've never read this book, but I was really interested in it. I like these storylines when you're looking at like I don't know whether you call it post-apocalyptic, but at least like a post-war era civil war in the United States, where like the country is broken apart. Obviously things are very different, and there's like struggles with people in the community. Like, I always find those stories really interesting. And so the idea of creating this challenge as like a way for the government to push its idiotic agenda, and people feel like they have to sign up because they don't have money and they don't have things to take care of their families, I just found all of that to be really fascinating, and I was looking forward to watching this. And the film I want to be telling you about today is The Long Walk. The Long Walk is directed by Francis Lawrence. In a dystopian alternate America ruled by a totalitarian regime, 50 teenage boys take part in a deadly annual walking contest, forced to maintain a minimum pace or be executed until only one survivor remains. So I was really excited to watch this movie. Like I said, I am a fan of Stephen King. I really like his books. I always am interested to see how his work will be translated into film. And I figured that I would enjoy this, but this is easily in like the top 10 movies that has been released this year. This was phenomenal, not only in its atmosphere and world building with how simple it is, but just how many amazing performances there are in this movie from top to bottom. Like, even the little side characters give phenomenal performances that it's impossible for you to pull away from the screen because of just how heavy and emotional this is. They really make you love these characters to an extent. With some of the, there's one particularly unlikable character early on, but they make you like these characters, and they establish really early on, you're going to watch most of them die, which just makes the movie so much heavier. And I'm excited to talk about that with you today when I break the movie down. So the plot description talked about this perfectly. Dropped into America, there's this character called the Major, played by Mark Hamill, who fought on one of the sides of the Civil War that has clearly taken over. And we learn throughout the movie they are like anti-art, anti-creativity. They've kind of stripped all of these thought processes and ideologies that they do not like away from their civilization, so much so that if they find out that you're partaking in those things, they'll execute you. And because of that, they've instructed these really absurd laws on their citizens. And one of the things that they have done is create this contest called the Long Walk. And in their terms, it's like to showcase hard work ethic and all of these different really ridiculous ideas that don't really make a whole lot of sense, which is very similar to a lot of authoritarian fascist dictatorships. Their rules and the things they come up with don't make a lot of sense, but they say that there is a voluntary sign up where one young man from all 50 states will participate in this walking event. And what you do is you get in a line and you essentially walk. There is no finish line. It's till the last person survives. You have to walk at 3 miles per hour. If you stop, you get a warning. You get 3 warnings, and upon the 3rd warning, you get killed. And the prize for if you are the winner is a large sum of money, and then 1 wish for anything that you could possibly want, obviously within reason what the government is capable of doing for you. And so these guys sign up because there's nothing for them. Literally, their families are living in poverty. The situations are really awful, and they feel like this is the only hope for them to have some kind of future. And so we're introduced to a multitude of characters, but the 2 main characters that we really focus on in the movie are Ray, played by Cooper Hoffman, and Pete, played by David Jonsson. And the two of them kind of introduce themselves to each other and they become fast friends along this journey together. And the entirety of the film is watching these two try to fight for survival to see who's going to make it out of this challenge. So, like I said, I thought this movie was remarkable, and there are a ton of reasons for that. But the main reason that I want to talk about is the performances. These are some of the best performances that I have seen in a movie all year long. For starters, David Jonsson is such an incredibly special talent. I am completely and totally floored by him as an actor. The first movie I watched him in was Rye Lane, and I thought that he was absolutely incredible in that film. He was obviously in the most recent Alien movie, and he did a phenomenal job in that. He does not play the same character in anything. He really embraces these roles and brings so much to each and every character that he portrays. And I just absolutely loved him in this movie. He's so likable and charming and mysterious early on, where you're learning more and more about who he is, but he's genuinely an empathetic and caring individual. And you can tell that from very early on. And I just absolutely adored his performance. Like, this to me is an Oscar worthy performance. I thought that he was truly incredible. Please give him leading role after leading role, because my God, just absolutely incredible. I was floored by his performance. And then secondly, Cooper Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman was one of the most important actors to me personally, and to see his son come this far in his career to where he is just delivering incredible performance after incredible performance. I loved Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza, and I think he was a really strong part of that movie and really just was completely blown away by how great he was. But in this film in particular, the visceral emotions that he gives, similar to David Jonsson, I just could not get over these two together. Just truly incredible, and it's one of the best performance-driven movies of the year. I was just gripped to the screen every second. The other two real standouts for me, Ben Wang was phenomenal in this movie. I thought that he was absolutely incredible. His role provided a lot of comedy to it, but he also had some really intense dramatic moments as well. Plummer, who I feel like I'm very used to playing a specific type of role, kind of gave a completely different performance in this, and he was incredible as well. And I could go through each and every one of these actors' names. They all just did a phenomenal job capturing the essence of what it would be like to be a young man in this environment and have to attempt to survive these awful situations. Just a really phenomenal viewing experience, and I loved that because of those performances. I loved the atmosphere of this. It's obviously a lot of walking, but I think what the cinematographer pays really great attention to detail on is like showing how this government has impacted the places that they're walking through. So many of the cities they walk through are desolate and destroyed, businesses that don't operate, fields that are destroyed, dead animals on the side of the road. Like, it's clear their ruling power is not doing the right thing because of the poverty and the horror that they have caused to the general communities. And I just thought that that was amazing, that you have these really incredible performances, but you also have this landscape and this backdrop of how the world has been impacted by the decisions of its government. And that was another thing about the movie that I thought worked incredibly well. I think this movie poses a lot of really interesting questions, because you think about like the United States of America now and kind of the direction it's heading with an authoritarian fascist regime. And obviously something like this doesn't exist, not out of the realm of normal for the idiots that run the country though. But I do think that it's interesting when you see people that are just living their lives forced to take part in something like this because of the idiocy of the ruling power, and how much of our lives are controlled by the actions of other people. And you think about that on the large scale of government, or you can think about it on a smaller scale, like with your parents or your immediate family, and how much of your day to day life and things that impact you are due to the actions of other individuals. And I just thought that that was a really powerful, poignant thing. This movie makes you fall in love with these characters, and then as they start to die, slowly and surely rips you apart from the inside. And I just think that there's something so poignant about friendship in this movie, and like how when things get bleak and ultimately like life can get hard, terrible things can happen to people, that like those moments that you have with your friends and those moments with community and people that you share things with are so incredibly important to try to like hang on to those brief interactions. And I loved how comedy was sprinkled into this movie because it's a dour, horrible situation, but they're still living. This might be the last time they're able to live. And so to grab a hold on to that and to appreciate those moments together, I just think that the way the director was able to balance all of those emotions, it was just incredibly poignant. I loved the third act. I thought that it hit very, very hard. The music in this movie was incredible. And I just thought the experience overall was amazing. It was one of the best movies that I've watched in a couple of months. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 films of the year easily, which I never would have expected when I saw the trailer to this. But please go watch this if you get the opportunity to, because it is phenomenal. So, have you seen The Long Walk? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was excellent. I loved it, and I already can't wait to see it again, even though it is emotionally devastating. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.